Here we are again. So I get like 100 or 200, sometimes more emails, comments, things on Patreon. I'm happy to answer them all, and I may miss the odd one, but I've got to be probably 90% reactive. Anyhow, Roman, you wrote me a note. I'm not sure where you are on this planet, about an Ithaca 66, and I guess you must have a 410. Amazing coincidence. I was at a gun shop, and I saw this really cool looking, what I thought was a rifle, but I probably knew it was a shotgun. Ithaca 66 20 gauge. Yours is a 410. I wish I had your 410. And I have another one, which right now is in pieces. It's in a 12 gauge, but this is the nicer gun. Anyway, for those of you that have not seen this Ithaca 66, it's really something else. This is a wonderful single shot shotgun. These are not expensive firearms, but as you know, I quite often find inexpensive firearms as interesting, and in many cases more interesting than the ones that cost a lot of money, although I have those too. But this has properly installed iron sights, which are getting hard to find these days, so that is meaningful to me. To work the action, they put a lever. It's a break open, very very positive, and total safety. You're ready to fire, you're not ready to fire, and iron sights. And this is a 20 gauge. Now this whole firearm weighs maybe, I don't have a scale, or my hands are my scale, I'd say 4.5, 5 pounds, I don't know. All I can tell you, it came with Ithaca. Is it an Ithaca? No, it's not an Ithaca. It's a white line. Doesn't matter. Some kind of impressed checkering here on the wrist. So this is worth whatever it is, $200 or $300, but I can't tell you how well it handles. This is an unbelievable shotgun. And with the sights, it's kind of a rifle. So how does it shoot? Well, I don't know how many of you have fired shotgun slugs, but it's kind of an experience. There's more recoil because there's more mass. The slug it's big, and it's not traveling all that fast. I won't guess at the velocity, but it's fast enough to drop a lot of game, and as you know, in many places slugs are mandated, and this one would be an ideal slug gun. You also know, I think, one shot is plenty. You can reload this if you need to. The bore is like new. But at 100 yards, which is usually what I test things at, I can tell you I have never shot at anything 900 yards away. I'm sure it can be done, and if I went to the trouble of laying it all out, it's more of a science experiment. Wind drift and a scope that you can see what's happening at 900 yards. And I'm not being critical of that. That's a scientific accomplishment for sure. And definitely the game won't be alarmed because they won't even know you exist at 900 yards. But I'm more thinking, well, it's just hunting, and whether you get something or not, it's not the end of the world. There's always another way to get a meal, which is a benefit of our time. But that's off subject. So if you can buy an Ithaca 66, this is a perfectly practical single shot. In 12 gauge, I can tell you the recoil is sharp. In 20 gauge, even with the slugs, this was no big deal. And it's a fairly straight stock, even though it doesn't look like it. I found it comfortable shoot. The foot-pounds of free recoil are a little lower in 20 gauge, but it's still quite effective at 100 yards. So Roman, there it is. If you have a 410, keep it. I'm definitely not selling this 20 gauge, and the 12 gauge is perfectly suitable for ducks. And if you need another shot, you know how to reload. So that's that. And on a secondary subject, because I have different items in the background, which to me, I just placed there because they're interesting to me, but you all kind of flatter me in studying the things that I have, and so a writer by the name of Half, I think, asked me what this is. So it's a super pack set, and there were a couple of others as well. I looked this up. I had to look this up because I find these like unbelievably interesting mechanisms and far more complex than firearms. But I don't pretend to be a camera expert, although I know a fellow who is a camera expert. So I looked this up. Super pack set. It was accompanied or preceded by the pack set. It was made in Nuremberg, Germany, which I only knew from trials which were held there, as you probably know. And it has a number of features which I can't talk about, but you wanted to know what it is, so that's what it is, a super pack set. And sometimes I go to thrift stores and places like that, and that's the only place you can find interesting things from the past. And these are totally, in my opinion, undervalued. Not this exact camera. Maybe this camera is worth $10 or whatever I paid for it, but it probably should not be worth just $10. In its time, I'm sure it was one of the more expensive things you could buy. Now we have digital cameras and so forth, but I mean, if you think about it, digital images can disappear just as quickly as they're made. But these cameras were made with whatever they were using, silver reactive film. Again, I'm not an expert. Oh, I wish I was. And maybe some of you can write me, but I truly would buy every single one of these single lens reflex, or whatever you call them, cameras, and then maybe in another lifetime learn about them. Obviously fantastic. And I hope somebody still makes film for these. I took it out because of these questions on my gun channel, but I thought, yeah, I should learn more. I would just as soon take pictures with this, frankly, as opposed to my phone. But maybe I'm stupid. Anyway, that's what it is. It's a super pack set made by Braun in Nuremberg, Germany. And if you punch it in on Wikipedia, they have good things to say about this camera. And it came with a leather case. And like I said, I don't know what I paid for this. I'd be surprised if it was $10. They are virtually giving them away. And sometimes in the stock market and with material things, the things that are being given away are the ones you should buy. In the foreground here is my Crossman 99, and I bought this because this is a CO2 powered 22 caliber pellet rifle. But in my youth, this was the first gun I converted into a 22 rimfire. And I knew virtually nothing about guns, which surprised me, but I even still have some of the parts I had to take out of that original Crossman 99. And it did not need CO2 to work anymore. I got it to work on the hammer. Anyway, I just took it out, and if I can put together a coherent video where I can explain what I did, I have to try to remember what that young mind came up with to make this into a 22, but it worked, and it worked well. And anyway, I just have it on the table, you know, fond memories and all that stuff. So that's it, Ithaca 66 Roman, and now Half, you know what that is. And I probably have 3 or 4 more because I resist buying them, which I shouldn't. These are not, this is not a $10 item, but anyway, it is right now. That's about it. Thank you for watching. I know I always say that, but I mean it every time. Please try to help me out on Patreon if you can. As you know, I'm doing all this and getting all this stuff, and YouTube say it's worthless and nobody wants to watch, but the numbers don't reflect that, so I'm thinking maybe in time that'll change. But between now and that day, I need your help to keep making these videos. And Instagram, you must have Instagram. I think I'm the only person on earth that did not have Instagram up until recently, so please join me on Instagram as well. I put up stuff, or my producers do, that hopefully is interesting to you. Thank you very much for watching, and as usual, we'll see you on the next video. Take care.